Hello, everybody, and welcome to Small Business Spotlight. I'm Sharon Taylor, founder and CEO of the Business Vision and Development Center. And my special guest today is Crissy Taylor, who is the owner, chef, and creative director of Taylor Taste. And I'm honored to have you here today as a creative, as a friend, as a person who inspires. So today's topic is about niches. But first I want to talk about how you came to be a chef and your journey to get there and how it evolved into Taylor Taste. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
Okay, so I am a creative, so I always have to touch something I always have to create something in order for me to feel alive, right? And I know that might sound cliche, but it's the truth. I actually started cooking when I was a very little girl. My mother was not always able to come downstairs and cook dinner for the family, and so I would pick up task around the kitchen cooking all the time. That's if we weren't eating out. My family, we enjoyed eating at all types of different Vietnamese restaurants, Chinese restaurants, as a little girl. And so that's where I kind of picked up where I wanted to cook. If I would ever cook, I knew it would be in the area of Asian food. Um, but I started designing jewelry when I was a sophomore in college, and I would sell that jewelry. Graduated from college, came home, and I started having pop-up shops where I will sell my jewelry, but then I will have other business owners come in and they will sell their makeup, they will sell their art. I had some people selling jewelry as well, but it was different from mine because mine was always handmade. So it was unique in that way. I realized that in order to get people in the door, I will have to feed them and I will also have to give them free drinks. And so that is where I started cooking for large crowds. And that's where I will get a lot of feedback about how delicious my food was. And so once the jewelry business kind of slowed down a little bit, that's when I started cooking. And I started doing meal prep kits, right? And in that process, I realized that, you know, there are not many new ideas. And
Mhm.
so as I was quote unquote developing the idea of meal kits, Blue Apron was also coming about. Harvest. I can't think of some of the other businesses, but they already in place. They had the infrastructure to not only create these meal kits, but also ship them out. And so that lasted for me about maybe 3 months. So, and people were excited to get my recipes and to get the ingredients for my recipes and to be able to replicate them at home. Like I said, I just realized very early on that I didn't have the capacity to do that. And so that's when I jumped headfirst into catering.
I have a memory, I guess, about when you were doing jewelry and fashion shows and styling. And I remember the transition from that to food and how you really integrated the two.
Mhm.
Because even with the picture that I'm using to promote this, you have, I think it's the carrots with the carrot
Yeah,
tops,
yeah.
but it's an intersection when you say you're creative of what you did and what you do now, where they met and they are perfect match to each other because we eat with our eyes
Right,
first.
right.
And you create, even when before you branched out to doing your food. I remember when you were doing the jewelry, but your food displays sometimes overshadow the jewelry because it was so
Right.
beautiful.
Thank
So
you.
um just wanted to let the viewers know that sometimes there's a transition period in what they do
Yeah.
and what they now do. And sometimes they can match, even though people think, oh, that don't go with
Yeah.
that. But as a creative, specifically, you
Yeah.
learn how to integrate that. So go ahead and talk to us. Okay, now we're at the point where you're starting to branch out on your own, and tailored taste is becoming its own
Mhm.
thing. And specifically, I want to know when you first started, were you just, I'm going to serve everybody everything, or did
Mhm.
you have a specific niche in mind at that time? And
Yeah.
how did that come about?
So that is interesting too because I just through my experience, even though, it's been about a total of 10 years of me being a business owner altogether. Just through my experience, some of the best advice I received was just start. Start
Okay.
small, start scared, start when you're not prepared, start without a business plan. Because sometimes, especially if you have a type A personality, you think, okay, I need to do this whole business plan first
Yes,
before
yes.
I even, get my hands dirty. And so that was some of the best advice I ever received. And so I did, right? I just started and I realized as I was doing it, oh, wow, these are my people, right? These small business owners are my people. This is my, what is it, niche? This is my crowd, my crowd. And then
Mm-hmm.
over time, I realized, oh, my crowd, it's people who like to dress up, it's people who care about their fashion. They also care about their food. They care about what they're putting into their bodies. They are fitness people. They are people who love to support other small businesses. And then at one point, it was especially businesses of color, Black businesses to be more specific. And so that was my crowd, that was my niche. And I still find today, like even 10 years later, the people who are showing up, even though, I welcome people from all walks of life, all ethnicities, the people who show up the most for me are people who look like me. And so I've been blessed enough to not experience the idea of crabs in a barrel. That's never been
Yes.
my experience. Never been my experience. And if there were one or two people, they kind of just, they phased out or whatever because I've always been surrounded by like-minded individuals. And so that moves me into what I'm doing. That's why I'm so passionate about it. And then DC alone, we have many Black owned businesses, and we have a lot of venues that are popping up. And those venues pop up, they need food, right? They're having
Yes.
events. And the first thing they want to do is, even if it is a hot ticket item right now, the first thing they want to do is hire a Black owned business, right? And
Yes.
then they get even more specific. They want to hire a Black owned business that is ran by a woman, they
Right,
get,
right, right.
and so I kind of check a lot of boxes for people. But as far as the cuisine I wanted to cook, I all from a very young age, I knew I wanted to cook Asian food. But that said, my just in my experience in meeting different people from, like I said, all walks of life, I realized that my original elevator pitch, I guess you would call it, it wasn't sensitive at all. And I didn't realize that I needed to be sensitive in saying that, well, my father was in Vietnam War. So, my dad came back from Vietnam War and we ate at every Vietnamese restaurant you can think of. Like I'm familiar with Vietnamese spices and I'm this and it wasn't until 2019, I think it was either 2019 or 2018. There was Black Restaurant Week event. And, they had all of us chefs lined up, people coming in, they're tasting our food or whatever. I'm really confident, like, yeah, I'm a Black woman, I'm serving Asian food, I'm cultured, I'm culturally competent, right? Like, I thought that was the case. Um, Up until a Vietnamese woman walked up to my table and I just started, blurting out my elevator pitch. And I'm just going on and on about, how my dad was in Vietnam and how I'm so proud of him and how he introduced us to all of these foods. And she was just looking at me like, ma'am. And it wasn't until that moment I realized, like, oh, wow, I need to dial back a little bit and not only um, tap into other cuisines as well, but also if I am going to speak on one cuisine, I need to also know the background and be sensitive
Yes.
about, what Vietnam War was, because
Right.
that's a very sensitive topic that I really don't want to talk about. I just want you to eat, this ginger salmon that I made, right, with this lemongrass and everything like that. And so it just made me more aware and more cognizant of who I was as a chef and what I was presenting to the world. And that, just like we don't want I don't even know how it sounds right, but like we will, if there's somebody who is serving macaroni and cheese, we will want them to know that that macaroni and cheese recipe came from a slave, who went over to Europe, not on vacation, but he was still a slave. He went and he learned that recipe.
Yes,
And
yes.
so um it was a learning experience, just to say the least, but still to this day, that is my favorite food. Vietnamese food is my favorite food, Thai food. And so because I'm very familiar with those flavors, those are the flavors I like to present.
So when you talked about, when you were first starting out and you kind of narrowed it down, but you were talking about your people, your client base.
Mhm.
And what I want people to realize that sometimes we don't know who our client base is in the beginning.
Right,
I was the
right,
same way. I just want to do it for everybody in the whole world.
right.
And so what I felt when you were talking about it is it went back to authenticity.
Oh yeah.
You fed or thought about people that were like-minded. And I think that is a lot of the key. People don't, if they know you're not with them, like them, about them, they are not going to support you 9 times out of 10.
Right.
So there is enough, and I want people to also understand there's enough for you and you and you.
Mhm.
You don't have to do everybody.
Right.
If you're a certain thing, a certain way, or have a certain product or service, and you stay authentic, people
Hmm.
gonna find you. Word of mouth is everything.
Yes. And so to that point, the pandemic happened.
Oh,
And, and when the pandemic happened, everybody, well, not everybody, a lot of people shifted to social media.
yes.
Everybody had to stay relevant, had to stay relevant. So content, content, content. Still to this day, everybody is very content focused.
Yes.
And I will never forget this. It was, I want to say it was either February, no, it was March. This is when everybody realized, we were going home and we may not be able to come back outside. And so my friend group, who just so happens to be, all CEOs, like all business owners, um, a lot of them were like, they were able to translate their product to social media, right? They were able to, I'll just use Mache, for example. Mache creates. Mache is an artist. And so, some of her products, she was able to, okay, it's shelf stable, right? These are cards, these are um, canvas art, this is jewelry. It was all types of stuff. that she was able to a certain extent, ship out without
Right.
any issues. And she's extremely creative, so she was able to present to her market on social media. Me, for instance, because my product was not only was it a product, it was a service as well. My it was very difficult to make my food translate through social media. And I remember getting advice from, just several people. They will inbox me, oh, I see a video of your daughter. You and your daughter should do these
Right.
videos. You should do more videos with her. You should do more videos of yourself. And I was like, okay. And so I already had some videos developed from the year prior, and they were already on YouTube or whatever. And so I was like, man, but then it was like, oh my goodness, I need to hurry up and get this content out. I need to do this. And I will never forget a voice, right? Maybe it was God. Somebody told me to be still. Just be still. Do not do anything. And I was nervous because I was like, man, all the catering companies are going under, the restaurants, not just the catering companies, the restaurants are shutting down.
Yes.
So here it
Yes.
is, little old me with this catering company, like it's definitely going to go under if I can't get my 2 or 3 events per month. No, God said be still. So I was still. And I started working on recipes, right? I went back to, okay, I'm gonna get this cookbook out that I said I was gonna that I was gonna put out. So I started working on recipes. I wasn't diving into the social media of creating reels, need to make 3 or 4 reels a week.
Right.
And I
A
kid you
day, an
not.
hour.
Yeah, like it's still too much to this day. I'm better now because it's a little bit easier because they've made it easier. But I was still and I was focusing on what was true to me, what felt right for me, and that was to get back into the cookbook and write down recipes, right? Easy recipes that people could follow, simple ingredients. It was five, five ingredient recipes with my focus, right? Not including salt and pepper in the seasoning. 5 ingredient, simple recipes that were cost efficient because we were
Yes.
in a pandemic. A week later, I get a call from Dreaming Out Loud. Dreaming Out Loud has a contract with World Central Kitchen, not DC Central Kitchen, but World Central Kitchen with Chef Jose Andres. And I'm like, okay, we'll see what this is about. They're like, oh, Crissy, we know you already have your business license in order. You have everything was already in order. And so it was easy for them to integrate me into the process. Already have commercial kitchen space at Tastemakers. So, it was easy for them. So I said, okay. But at first it was, we're going to do this for 2 or 3 weeks because we're in a pandemic, but everybody's thinking we're about to go back to work. No, we didn't go back to work. We did not go back to work for a very long time. And by us not going back to work, there were populations that were extremely vulnerable.
Mm.
And so me being still, me working on these 5 ingredient recipes turned into a year contract with World Central Kitchen by way of Dreaming Out Loud. And that contract translated into, I think it was about $65,000 revenue. And so it was every morning, I'm waking up 5 o'clock in the morning, going to the commercial kitchen. Hi, we have a visitor. I'm sorry.
Oh, I love a visitor. It's the sir. Hi, Sir Brixton.
Who's that? Who's that? Turtle. Turtle.
Full disclosure, Crissy is my daughter-in-law. Brixton is my grandson, and he calls me Turtle by way via Turtle Dove is what Crissy named me many, many years ago. And so my grands, Crissy's friends, everybody calls me Turtle Dove, and I love it. Hi, Brixton.
You say hi? Okay,
But
we got to get back
I want to
to
go back to something that you said about being prepared. even though this conversation is really about niches, I want to bring it back around to when you said when they reached out to you, you were prepared. That is one of the key. And you also talked about business plans. Yes, I do business plans. Yes, I understand the necessity, but I also understand and appreciate it when you said just start. Because a lot of us, especially me, when I started, I was busy doing the plan, doing flyers, doing this, and not really doing the work. So that's one thing I want to bring to people's attention, no matter where you are, just start. The second thing I want people to understand is to be ready. You never know when you're sitting still and that call is going to come and you say, well, I don't have my BBL, my basic business license. Oh, I don't have my clean hands. Oh, I got to get this. Time is moving. And you got to be, if you want to be in business, if you want to be successful, you have got to be ready for that call, because that call will come to either show you that you're ready or to show you that you're not. So I encourage everybody to be ready. And also with the COVID, you have to pivot sometimes. You have to say, this is who I was serving before, but this is who I need to serve now. And what that does is open you up to so many other opportunities, things that you may not have considered at the time. And now your niche is still growing. You are still adding to your platform and your portfolio. I see Brixton. I see, and now I see Cree's hand. Hi, Cree. So I appreciate the conversation, because people don't always connect the dots, right? And so as we talk through this, we are connecting the dots for our business owners who are already in business and those who are just starting, because some of us who are already in business get mired down in the way we've done it.
Yeah.
And COVID showed us you got to be ready no matter what comes down the pike. So let's catch up and see where we are now. So now COVID is semi over. And so what are you doing now? What's the plan now and going forward?
Yeah, so now so because I was able to get that contract with World Century Kitchen, it boosted a lot of things for me. I was able to purchase more equipment. I was able to hire people at the time who also, they come and they work by contract as well every now and again if I need the extra hands. And so it boosted my business in a way that, ironically, right, that's the bittersweet part about that, having that contract, is that if it weren't for COVID, it probably would not have happened. And so, but it put me in a position where I'm able to get more clients. You're gonna have to edit this out. Can you
I
hear
don't
him?
know how to edit, so everything is going
Okay,
to.
I'm gonna just pause for a second,
Okay.
and you'll know when I'm snapping my fingers, that's when you could edit that part out.
Well, I don't know how to edit, Crissy.
You don't know how to edit? I thought you said yes, you do.
I know
Yes,
how
you
to add stuff
do.
at the beginning. I know how to add stuff.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
y'all just
Well,
ignore this.
intermission, that was a Brixton commercial. So that just having that contract, and it's not to discount the other events that I've done before that and the other experience that I've had, but just that contract alone, it not only boosted me as a small business, but other small businesses as well that were working with us on that contract. As well as Dreaming Out Loud, they were able to do a lot with the money that we received from World Century Kitchen. So that puts me today where I am. I still do events. I can come to events with chafing racks that I already have because they're in storage. I don't have to keep purchasing those over and over again. I have, eventually I will have a vehicle where I can transport the food. And so I'm still growing as a catering company. I do wish to hire at least 4 staff people. I don't want to be in the kitchen all the time as much as I enjoy it. One of the things I realized is that because I'm a creative, if it eventually, and this is ironic, but eventually once it translates to dollars, um, it's not as joyful as it once was, because I just like to cook food. I like to cook food for people. I like to make people happy. But then if you tell me, oh, how much is it? If you
I
ask,
know, I
yeah,
know.
that's what I need. Well, at one point I needed a lot of assistance with pricing my food, right? But that goes back to that large project I had where we were only getting paid $10 a bowl. And so if they're paying us $10 a bowl, then that means my ingredients for this entire bowl needs to be about $2,
Right, right.
if I want to make a
Make some
profit or whatever.
revenue.
So, but
Mhm.
I'm better now. I am more assertive with my clients. Not aggressive, assertive. Sometimes I still have to, if I have to pull up a newspaper with like the the advertisement, if I
Yes,
have
yes,
to say, oh, well, salmon is $15 a pound now. So,
yes, yes.
there's no way I can, serve 50 people salmon for $200. Everybody thinks
Right.
that's another thing too about catering. Everybody thinks $200 is the budget. You will be surprised at what people ask for with a budget of $200. But again, that goes to having a market, having a niche, and also learning, not judging, right?
Right.
Because when you're coming from a place where this is something that I created, right? This is my product. I want to put it out there in the world. You tend to you're going to value it all the way up here because it's yours. But just understanding, what does the market say? What is the
Yes,
market saying, right, about
yes.
this product and how much it costs, and what is, if they go to Panera Bread, because sometimes I'm catering lunches, right? And it's all sandwiches. They want sandwiches, chips. Um, what is Panera Bread charging for a sandwich, a turkey
Right,
sandwich? If
right.
Panera Bread, who's already established, they already have a vehicle where they can drop off the food without a delivery fee, right? Because these are
Hmm.
the people that we're competing with. What are they charging? If Panera Bread is charging, can you hear that?
We are a family-owned business.
Christian, hold on one second. Your next video should be with, running a business with the family. Um, so just finding your market, finding your people,
Mhm.
but also not judging them for where their budget is, but also understanding the value of the product that you are
Yeah.
putting out there. And so I would say, just for example, I know that Panera Bread for a lunchbox, they may be charging anywhere from $12 to $14. I can't
Mhm.
come in and say, well, I'm a small business, I'm Black owned, I'm this, I'm that, my turkeys were raised in the south of France, so therefore this turkey sandwich is $25. No, you know what I mean? So nobody's going to buy that. And then maybe somebody will buy it. But my market,
Right.
they are intelligent enough to know,
Yes.
a turkey sandwich does not cost $25. And so just finding your market and staying true to yourself and knowing that your people are going to come as long
Yes.
as you are consistent. And another thing I wanted to say just about, because some people think that their friends have to be their customers,
Oh, yeah. Please,
their
please, please
family,
speak to that. Please
yeah,
speak
my
to
family
that.
isn't supporting me, my friends aren't supporting me, if they're not your customers, they're not your customers. And that is okay. And it is with catering, for example, sometimes it's best to go to the people who actually make decisions, right? And so you will get a lot of times where people are asking you for things for free, right? Like you might have a friend that says, oh yeah, well, my company is having a happy hour. Can you bring some food for free, or can you bring this product for free? And in exchange, you could put your business card down. I've had that happen to me before. In exchange, you could bring us some free food, and in exchange, we're going to give you promo by allowing you to put your business cards on the table. No, that doesn't make sense. In some situations, it may make sense, but this is when it will make sense. If that event is it's a room full of people who are actually responsible for making the lunch orders for the office. They're responsible for ordering catering for all of the business meetings every Thursday. That is when free promo makes sense. That is when it makes sense to spend your own money, your own business money in order to advertise to those people. But other than that, if it's just people who want free food, or if it's just people who wants a free product, then it doesn't make sense.
I want to talk to the audience about that. When she talked about we getting a lot of business information. When people ask you for something, the term is ROI, return on investment. Does it make sense? Am I getting, not everything you got to get something back, understood. But does it make sense for me to spend all this money? And that goes to networking events too. If your people are not in that room, does it make sense for you? Because your time is money too. Does it make sense for you to spend 4 hours in a room eating a canopy with people who are never going to be your clients? That's 4 hours. Think about it in terms of how much you make an hour. So if you make $400 for $100 an hour and you spend 4 hours, $400, is your return on investment going to be more than $400? So that's easier for some people to put a math or a number to it to determine. If you're not getting nothing out of it, and we're all learning, but we all can't be at every networking event because they're doing the same thing you're doing. So with that being said, Crissy, I thank you for spending time with me on Small Business Spotlight. I enjoyed seeing Brixton, and he will not be edited out.
It's okay. As long as you can hear, as long as you can hear me over him, then it's totally
Oh,
fine.
yes, yes, yes. And I also want people to realize, as small business owners, not
Mm-hmm.
only are we running a business, some of us are running an entire household, community, and village. And I don't want people to be discouraged. I want them to see that all things are possible.
Absolutely, yes.
So I appreciate that. Now, where can people reach out to you? Your website, social media,
Oh, nice. I
and
get to
all
plug.
of that.
Yes, so I am on Instagram, Tailored Taste on Instagram. So that's TAYLORED Taste. And that is my Instagram. I'm also, you can go to tailoredtaste.com. You can send me, you can fill out the info form and then it will ping an email to me as well. I'm not on Facebook as of yet because my market, my client are on Instagram. So that is where most of my energy goes. And that is, I have my links on there. If you want to order meal prep, you could do it from Instagram. If you want to order catering, you could do it from Instagram as well.
I appreciate you. I thank you. And we've talked about me starting to order my meal preps because I am one of your people, not because of any familiar relationship, but I consider myself uh, creating a work-life balance.
Yeah.
And I just want to tell people about something that I read about making yourself, no matter where you are financially, there are things that you can do to give yourself a wealthy mindset. And ordering food prep is one of them. I got a personal chef. Her name is Crissy Taylor.
Amen.
She
Yes.
she preps my food. I pick it up and I'm done for the week and I feel wealthy and I feel healthy. So I thank you
Yes.
for that.
Yes. And I would love to be, I'm very honored to be your personal chef and other people's
That's
personal
right.
chef.
You
I'm
can be
sure
a
they
lot of
use that.
people's personal chef.
Yeah, no, seriously, seriously. And then
So
that
thank
helps me too. Yeah, that helps me too, just knowing that, oh, I'm a personal chef, because I've been getting those inquiries too. And that's when, imposter syndrome sinks in.
yes.
You can talk to a lot of people, a lot of small business owners about imposter syndrome as
Can we
well.
come
So
back and talk about that? Because that's a
yes,
whole
yes, you can. It's always
thing.
lurking. It's always lurking
Yeah,
in the
it's always that voice. And yes, I
Mhm.
will definitely schedule you to come back and talk about that because a lot of us have it. Some people don't realize it, and we
Mhm.
need to unpack that. So,
Yeah,
again, thank you, Crissy,
of course.
and we will see you on the other side.
See you on the other side. Peace.
Like, share, and subscribe.